Oh, sorry, yeah. I guess I was supposed to come in there at some point.
Right. That's right.
See, that's what happens when you start playing, Bill.
See?
People get Buddhified.
See?
And for as much times as I've heard you play, I'm always just Buddhified.
So let's keep that take right there. Okay.
All right. Welcome to a new day in podcasting. It's called Conversations with the Buddha. And you know who the Buddha is, right? Do you? Yeah? Well, let me tell you something. No, we're not talking about that Buddha. We're speaking of this Buddha right here. Bill the Buddha Dickens. This podcast centers around Bill, renowned Chicago bass player. He was a child prodigy, and he has gone on to write, play, and produce for some of the who's who of music. I mean, you could call any name, and you would never be too far off as far as Bill's work is concerned. It's amazing. It still amazes me just being around this man and seeing the people and, just hearing the conversations. And that's why we came up with Conversations with the Buddha, because we want to learn about Bill. And what's interesting is that Bill is willing to share his life, his career as player, producer, like we said. He's also a teacher. He's a mentor. He's a father. As a matter of fact, there are so many superlatives to describe Bill that I won't even get into it. But the one that stands out most in my mind is humble. You could not meet a nicer man, especially one who has achieved so much. I mean, how many bass players you know who pass 4 strings, pass 5 strings? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if we asked him to, he'd even add 2 more. 9-string bass. You have to be some sort of a maestro. You have to be especially gifted. You have to be simply amazing to be able to do that.
For me, it's such an honor to be here and to be here with you and to be able to share the history of Bill Dickens with everybody.
So at that point then, why don't I ask you, look at your fans and welcome them to the podcast.
I'd like to welcome you all to my podcast, Conversations with Bill Dickens. And I hope that you will learn something from it and gain some knowledge from it, and also learn some things about me that you probably didn't even know.
And also, I mean, if you just want to learn about the bass, like I said, he's willing to teach the bass because he has so much knowledge. And Bill is one of those people who believes that, knowledge not shared is useless knowledge. If you keep the knowledge to yourself, then it benefits nobody. So he wants to use his bass, his life, to impact the world and make a difference in the world. Am I right?
That's right. Absolutely.
All right. So, and while we're at it, you can check Bill out at, what's your website? Bill?
My website is billthebuddhadickens.com.
And of course, you're also on social media, right?
I'm on social media, Instagram, and also Twitter.
And your handle is simply Bill Dickens.
Bill Dickens.
So you heard it. Check him out. billthebuddhadickens.com. On Facebook, just look for Bill Dickens. Instagram, Bill Dickens. Twitter, Bill Dickens. And here's the thing. There's only one Bill Dickens, which is why he's often been referred to as the Bill Dickens. Right?
That's right.
Okay. All right. And of course, Conversations with the Buddha also will be out there. And on this podcast, Bill, you just never know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People are going to be Buddhified in so many ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
From special guests. Your special guests could be musicians.
Yes.
Politicians.
That's right.
Business people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even the average Joe.
Yeah.
Because he too has a story, right?
That's right.
The Desiderata says that even the dumb and the ignorant, they too have a story.
That's right.
And you never know. Every story, as a matter of fact, can teach us all something.
That's right.
And that's what this is about. Eh?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. So now, Bill, your life and career has been nothing short of amazing. But something happened this past weekend that you told me that kind of took things to a whole new dimension. And it's still unbelievable that somebody like you, after so many years in the business, can still hit a new dimension. Tell us about this new dimension.
Well, you know, the trip that we made to Motown recently bridged the gap for me because of me basically being sort of molded and shaped in show business as an infant. When my mother had me, you know, she gave birth to me. She took me to the Regal Theater after about 6 weeks after I was in the world. So for about 4 or 5 years, I'm hearing music.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, all those artists, especially the Motown artists, when I was able to understand, I saw Stevie Wonder. I saw the Diana Rosses and the Marvin Gayes, the Marvelettes, Martha Reed and the Vandellas, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, even on to other people like Jackie Wilson and James Brown. And it was just, the list went on and on. Those kind of shows back then in the 60s, they had, 10 acts on one show, but they had set changes. So between the set changes, they would play these horrible movies. And I remember the horrible movies, sort of before Bruce Lee.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
and of course, the big thing that happened this weekend is that we took a trip to Motown.
Absolutely.
And Motown became Buddhified. And it was a great weekend because the weekend also featured a Detroit Bass Day.
Right.
And I'm still amazed at the way other bass players, some of them accomplished in their own rights, the way they literally lifted their hats and they were all over Bill the Buddha Dickens.
Yeah. I'm still amazed by how known I am throughout not only the United States but the whole entire planet. Mm-hmm. And it just amazes me that people know about me, study me, follow me, love my music, and I haven't had anything said as of late bad about me as far as the chances and the things that I've been trying to do. So, like I said, Motown for me, again, was the thing that bridged the gap between my childhood and to this past weekend when we visit Motown.
Right. And of course you were featured on The Basement, which is a podcast, a YouTube channel with Big Ive Williams,
right,
that is all about bass players, and you were the special guest. And as far as we understand it, they had the largest turnout of bassists for any show on this past weekend. Ever. I mean, it was jam-packed. All because of the Buddha. Yeah, everybody came to be Buddhified.
Yes.
So we're going to get more into that. There is also, of course, we're now in this period where we're all feeling a sense of loss, while we're also feeling a sense of gratitude for having Aretha Franklin with us.
Right.
And there was a tribute to Aretha Franklin. Of course, she's from Detroit. We were in Detroit.
Absolutely.
So it was a big bass day. But we want to start things off by going into Motown.
Okay.
That's where we were.
That's right.
And hey, let's take a look at the Buddha inside Studio A of Motown. And before we go, to tell you, it's a very, very rare occasion. Not many people get the chance to sit down in Motown and do an on-camera interview. This man right here, he made it happen. Take a look.
And what I feel here is being in Detroit is that it's like you guys are like my family, like my brothers. We have this connection together. You know what I mean? Musically, spiritually. Our stories, our life. How we came up in music, and this bridged the gap for me. Because I was pretty much birthed into this music thing. By my mom, and now here I am. And she probably looking down, her and my father looking down on me and saying, job well done. You know what I mean? This is the gap. So this is, I'm like I said, I'm overwhelmed, trying not to have any tears, but it's a very emotional thing for me to be here, and I'm very grateful and honored. I'm grateful for all of these people here, the people that are supporting the podcast and everyone here, and my friend Willie Moss, who's another tremendous bass player from Boston. I am overwhelmed to be here, and thank you so much for having us.
And that was the day that Motown was Buddhified. But here's the funny thing about that. We could also say the Buddha was Motowned. Because it was as special for him just being in Motown. And it's almost like a hand in glove situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It went all the way around.
Yes, it did. Full circle.
Which is what music is about, eh?
Yes.
From
absolutely.
bar to bar, and then you get to the double line, and you go back
Yes,
to the top and you
that's
play
right.
again. Isn't
Repeat.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah, repeat. Isn't that the way it is?
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
fine.
right.
So, Bill, we were in Detroit on a weekend when it just so happened that we lost Aretha Franklin,
Right.
a Detroit artist,
Yes.
but most amazingly, not a Motown artist.
That's right.
But then, it was also a weekend when we lost a Motown legend, Eddie Willis.
Yes. Eddie was the last of the Funk Brothers, the original. And he played on the biggest hits of Motown, you know, and was well respected, you know, especially by the musician community in Detroit. We knew about him in Chicago, but he was the master, you know, and he shouldn't be overlooked, you know. The one thing I want to say that, you know, for many years, that a lot of those records that came out at Motown, there was no credit given to the musicians. The first record that gave credit to the musicians was What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. Why is that? Because Marvin Gaye was a drummer and a piano player. He realized, this is my album. I'm making a social statement, but at the same time, I'm going to expose these giants on my record and give them credit for what they do.
Well, God bless his soul.
God bless. Rest in peace, Eddie.
Rest in peace,
Rest
Eddie.
in peace,
Rest
man.
in peace,
He was a
Marvin. And rest in peace, the Queen of Soul, Lady Aretha Franklin. Now, not very many people can say that they have been associated musically with Aretha, and especially to have had hits with Aretha. But you know what? Aretha was Buddhified.
Yeah.
Yes, she was.
Sure was. Sure was.
And
sure was.
of such, Bill, because of your association with Aretha, having the privilege of working on a record for her, you just had to. I mean, even if you never had a chance to play with Aretha, you have to pay tribute. But then for you, it was even more special because of that association.
Yes, absolutely. You know, for me, Aretha Franklin was the Temptations, the Marvelettes, you know, Martha Reed and Vandellas, Supremes, all just wrapped up in one, you know. Plus, she was a phenomenal keyboard player. She could get on that piano and play gospel music like it sounded like a great piano player, but she was so in tune. She could split her brain in half and will just sing you, as we say, under the ground.
Wow, wow.
Phenomenal, phenomenal. A lot of those sessions was Aretha playing the piano. I can't say that for other artists.
Right.
You know, there's very few artists I know, especially females, that were able to record, play, sing, and write. Very few.
Right.
She was one of the few.
All right. And just a segue, you just mentioned Martha from the Vandellas.
Yes.
And we had the pleasure of meeting her because she was there. She was at Motown.
Yes, she was there.
And yeah, we'll show you. But for now, Bill, let's get to your tribute to Aretha Franklin. Let's take a look at that. One more time, ladies and gentlemen, Bill the Buddha Dickens.
I want to do a dedication to Aretha. Is that okay?
That was me again. Yeah, you
That
know.
was definitely you. You
All
like
yep, always beautified because you know.
you just like, wait,
Yeah.
come on, man.
I was actually checking out and I've listened to this 1,000,001 times. Don't get me wrong, but for each time you listen, you know there's just some music you hear it once, but it's like you just never heard it. That
Right.
was just like
Right.
a preview.
Right.
Then you hear it again and you're like,
Yes.
oh, did I hear that last time? No, I didn't. And then you keep. So that's me here just basically looking through your album,
Right.
The Truth. And we spoke earlier of that Buddha pose on the cover of the album. Bill the Buddha Dickens, The Truth. Yeah, there it is. You see him floating, and he said that was like a Matrix moment.
Right.
All right. So of course he had his Matrix moment at Motown. He has had his Matrix moments and you know, his varying moments with the greats, Aretha Franklin. Now please do not forget to check out Bill the Buddha Dickens. The album is available. It's on Rope-A-Dope Records, so you can go to ropeadope.com, Amazon, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you find music. It's there. Okay. Yeah, please go on out and support the artist. It's very important that you support the artist. This is how artists actually make their living.
That's right. Absolutely.
Right?
That's
and I know, Bill, you're big on the business of music.
That's right.
And
Huge.
artists making their money, because
That's right.
there has to be reward for all of this.
Yes,
yeah?
absolutely
And
right.
there's so many artists who just never got their credits, as you mentioned before. And of course, don't forget to check out the podcast. All the info you want, bios, any info on Bill, it's billthebuddhadickens.com.
Yes.
He's also on Instagram. He's on Twitter. He's on Facebook. If it's social, he's on it. Bill Dickens, the one and only. Just look up Bill Dickens and you'll find everything about Bill. Plus, there's just a whole lot of material that will be coming out in very, very short order.
right.
So you don't want to miss it. Please stay tuned. Now, Bill, back to Motown, you mentioned that there's one player that you just absolutely respect. He basically molded who you are.
Yes.
And that was,
James Jamerson.
tell us about James.
James Jamerson was to me the godfather of bass. He was the glue for me at Motown. If they didn't have James Jamerson on a song, there wasn't no song, as far as I'm concerned. They had to wait for James Jamerson, producers had to wait for James Jamerson to come in and play on their track because everybody wanted him, everybody was grabbing at him. So you can imagine you having a skeleton of a song, a skeleton. You have the vocals, the verses and the choruses, everything, the arrangements done, but what's the feel? You gotta wait for James. And James did that all off the top of his head.
Wow.
Even if the producers try to write what he played, he tell them, you can't write what I play.
Wow.
Because he doesn't know. He don't know what he's gonna play.
Just
So-
a feel.
Just a feel.
Wow.
Nobody on the planet could do that.
Wow.
And that's why he's like one of my biggest mentors.
Right.
Biggest inspirations.
And for that reason, Bill is going to take us out with some Motown, some James Jamerson. Is that right, sir?
That's right, sir.
So, hey, you know what, man? Enough for me.
All
Ladies
right.
and gentlemen, the Buddha on the bass, Bill Dickens.